guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys is another Ninjago video. Today we are tackling another episode, or I guess another piece of the saga, I guess, of the Ninjago book, Quest for the Lost Powers. This is, of course, a canon book. It takes place after Season 15 crystallized. So if you haven't seen up to that, I recommend not watching this video until you have at least seen crystallized to know exactly why they don't have their powers. Exactly what's going on there. But I already covered Kai and I covered Zane's stories already. This is, of course, Cole, my favorite ninja. Kind of sucks that Kirby passed away and then they got the guy who voiced Moro to be Cole. Horrible Cole, in my opinion. But, yeah, whatever. But we're back on the story. Now, again, the plot of these four stories is that, right, the ninja Kai, Cole, Zane, Kai, Cole, Zane, and Jay. I almost said Jane. I always say Jane. It's Kai, Cole, Zane, and Jay. They lose their powers, right, for some unforeseen circumstance in Season 15. And how do they get them back? Well, we already found out how Kai and Zane did. Now, for Cole, if you've read the book, it's, I don't know, almost 200 pages. It ain't that long. But, you know, each ninja has their own set of chapters, and Cole's is about him kind of losing his powers, obviously, and how he gets them back and all that. And we see Lou, which is cool, but chapter 1 kind of begins with, that's called Down on the Farm, and it begins with Cole literally working on a farm. He's basically like, you know, in Season 4, Tournament of Elements, Cole was kind of like, hey, you know, I'm done with fighting, I'm done with ninjas, I'm done with Jay. And he's like carrying logs and stuff, you know what I mean? He's like, nah, I'm a log guy. And then, of course, he has to use his powers, and he kind of gets found out. And then it doesn't really work a whole lot, you know, because he kind of lasts, I don't know, like a month or two, I don't know. And then he just becomes a ninja again. But with this, now that he doesn't have his powers, and there's really no threats to Ninjago until, of course, Dragon's Rising, which is another show, but it's still canon. It's a sequel show. But in this, there's nothing much to do. So, you know, Cole's going to work on a farm. And I think Cole working down on the farm is a little better than him being like a lumberjack kind of dude. Just in my opinion, I think both are okay. I always pictured and figured Cole to kind of work in the land, right, because he is an earth ninja. So he's kind of helping out, and Lou is looking for him. He's kind of helping with this yak and this girl called Sally Bob, which I thought was kind of weird, but then in Evil Dead 2, there's a character called Bobby Joe. So I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's, I don't know if that's like a typical redneck hillbilly, Amish, I don't know. I'm not saying, I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's a normal thing. I never heard of a person called Sally Bob and Sally Joe and Bobby Sally and Babby, but at the same time, I don't know. But she's a good character, and she's kind of helping Cole on the farm, and Lou's like, hey, what's going on? And Cole's kind of talking to his dad, and oh boy, and he's like, hey, you know, I kind of need some help, and I need you to, you know, kind of essentially leave, because I'm working on the farm now. And Lou's like, all right, well, what's exactly going on here? What's the problem? And Cole's like, well, you know, I just kind of thought I'd work on this farm since I don't know my powers anymore. And that's, of course, when he thought it'd be an easy life and all that. And it turns out that it kind of is. It's like that episode of The Mandalorian where Mando and Grogu kind of go to that town with that one woman in, I think, Season 1. And Cara Dune helps them kind of fight and all that. It's kind of like that in a sense. And then, of course, we see Takanagi, I think that's how you say it, in Chapter 2, Attack of the War Tractors. Basically a bully. I wouldn't really call him a villain, so to say. It is more of a bully type thing. He's basically just an asshole who's like, I'm going to take your land and I'm going to kill you. I mean, he's got tractors that shoot like flames and stuff. It's pretty crazy. And, you know, Cole and Lou kind of end up helping, and that's when Takanagi, that's what I'm calling him. Cole's like telling Lou, hey, you gotta back the fudge off. You know, I mean, you're going to get yourself killed here. These guys aren't messing around. They want the land and they just want power. And we see a really cool, you know, some action scenes and all that. It's kind of hard to portray action in a book, but, you know, I think they did a pretty good job here. Cole is basically getting, he says, he concentrating on deflecting their blows instead, but the fourth driver of the tractor swooped his pitchfork handle behind Cole's knees, and he fell once more. So Cole's getting his butt handed to him by these guys. He says, this is your last chance, kid. Next time we'll get mean. So it's kind of like a warning attack. Then the goons leave, and Cole says, no broken bones. It's just, I don't know how I'm going to do it this time. I don't know how I can keep my promise to Mom. And that's the whole purpose. He's trying to keep his promise to his mother. We see in Season 13, which I won't ruin in case you haven't seen it, Nanny and Poppy. But at the same time, there's a scene where Cole kind of promises his mother, hey, I'm going to fight for these bullies and I'm going to stand up to injustice. And that's kind of the main backbone, the meat and potatoes kind of how he becomes a ninja in the first place. and I think it's really cool, and he's kind of trying to honor that sentiment by not only trying to find a life for himself in this farmland, but now that Takanagi and these, you know, tractor hillbilly warlord guys are trying to take over the land, he's like, all right, I got to kind of make my promise to Mom and stand up to these guys. I have like an obligation, I have a duty to do that. Chapter 3, the living room dance. Pretty important chapter. It's basically nothing too crazy. They're just kind of going over their game plan. And Cole has these visions and these memories of him when he's a little kid. Him, his mom, and his dad kind of dancing in the living room and just having family time and having fun. Nothing crazy happening. It's just them dancing in the living room and having fun together. And that is Cole kind of saying, look, I love my family. I'm going to fight for what's right. And I made a promise to my mom, and she felt powerless sometimes. Because as we know, Cole's mom has some backstory, which you see in Season 13. But Cole is like, hey, she's so freaking powerful, and she's so cool and all that, and you know, how did she do it? And Lou is kind of the one to tell Cole that, no, even she felt powerless, and she felt defeated, and, you know, family is what brought her together. So, you know, between some Cole and Lou bonding, Sally Bob is like, hey, we're going to go fight these guys, and we're going to, because, you know, Cole kind of found not really a new family, because he eventually does lead these guys to become, you know, a ninja again, but it's kind of like a makeshift, quote-unquote, family for these guys. You know, he feels like he's obligated to help them out, which is pretty cool. Sally Bob has this recurring joke where she's like, crops don't kid, so we don't either. It's like that, like, I don't know, flowers don't poop, and I don't either. You know, that's not in there, but that's an example. You know, it's just like that. It's kind of weird. So, not horrible, it's whatever. But, yeah, so Cole, you know, is excited. He says, let's get started. And Sally Bob said, not just yet. One more thing you need to know, fella. The minute you planted your first seed here, you became part of our family, too. Cole smiled gratefully. So did his father. Yes, ma'am, Cole replied. So they're kind of getting that family, that, you know, that sense of family as soon as Cole kind of started planting and helping them out, so to speak. He became one of them, which is pretty cool. Chapter 4, the Battle of Sally Bob's Farm. This is just kind of nothing too insane of a chapter. You got Takanagi over there, just kind of saying, "Hey, we're gonna run you down. We're gonna run this land. We're gonna kill everyone who stands in our way." We got fire shooting out of our tractors. That's kind of crazy. They're gonna just destroy the vegetables and all that. He's kind of like telling them, "Don't f with me or else." And then Cole kind of trains these people to help fight, and they're kind of destroying the tractors and all that. What else is going on? She says, Sally Bob says, "Crops don't run, and neither do we. We stand up for our land like the family we are." So they're just going to kind of fight. There's a little picture of Cole tackling Lou, his dad, to save him from the fire. Because, yeah, Lou almost died in a book, which would have been pretty crazy if he did. But, yeah, he was pretty close to getting charred. And there's a really badass picture here of Cole unlocking his potential again and unlocking his earth powers, which is pretty cool that he lost during the Crystal King and all that. Cole... he was amazing, and he felt a surge of adrenaline. There was something else, something powerful and oddly familiar. When Cole saw the farmers standing together, he mustered the emotional strength he'd lost during the fight with the Crystal King. So yeah, Cole kind of seeing that the family is what strengthens him, and that he needs to kind of not work alone, and, you know, kind of, you know, function as a family again, and kind of get that aspect back that he desperately clung to with his mother and father when his mom was still alive. It really resonated with Cole, and he got his powers back, which is pretty crazy. And then Chapter 5, One Last Obstacle, is essentially Cole and, you know, them all kind of fighting again. And I don't remember. I don't think Takanagi dies. I think he just kind of leaves. I think. Let me see. Yeah, Takanagi. It says Takanagi never returned. So I'm assuming he. You know, he sold all the land because he decided it was too much trouble. So he kind of leaves and he kind of does something else in life. So no, he doesn't die like Lord Mogra in the Garmadon comic or whatever, some other character that dies. He just kind of leaves, he kind of gets bested like the bull. Again, Takanagi's really not a villain, he's more of a bully, you know, and that whole aspect of Cole fighting bullies is pretty cool. And some really cool pictures there. Cole leaves with his dad Lou, and then they go off to fight more adventures, and, you know, the yak, which Cole kind of befriends a little yak he helps, and... Lou says, "You're a funny yak, Henry." Then Yak's name is Henry. You ever think about going on the road and performing? So it's kind of cool. And it says, Lou and Cole walked out of the gate and down the road together. Henry grunted, the yak, and moved over to another patch of grass and went on with his day. So Henry the yak is pretty much unfazed by this, and I think it's good. I do think that the Zane chapter was a bit better. I think this was a little better than the Kai story. It's cool, though, because every story so far, I did read Jay's, so look forward to that video very soon. But, because I want to get the book over with. But it is very cool to see that each story is different in their own. One's more comedic, one's more dark, one's more about family. I think that's kind of cool. So each story kind of has their own little unique beats, and I think that's actually really interesting. So yeah, I mean, how much did I... $15 for this book. I think it was pretty good. Again, as such a gigantic Ninjago fan as myself, I figured, I kind of have to buy it and read it. And thankfully it's good. I mean, I was expecting it to be really kiddie and just, it's a book, it won't really figure with the thing. But it's actually pretty good. It fits right into the canon. Again, it's kind of giving that bridge between Season 15 and Season 1 of Dragon's Rising, which is really cool. And yeah, man, the Cole story is pretty awesome. Again, Cole's my favorite ninja. Maybe not my favorite story, but I do think it is kind of cool that whole aspect of family and Sally Bob and Henry the Yak and Takanagi. There's a whole lot of world building in here which you don't see in the show. In the show, it's just, they lose their powers, and somehow magically they're effing back in by the time Dragon's Rising happens, right? Because they use them during the merge. But same time, this is cool because it's not only canon, but it also kind of explains what happens. It's like reading a Star Wars novel or a Star Wars comic. It kind of bridges the gap between certain episodes or certain events, stuff like that. And I think it is really cool that they're able to do that in this little book. So again, I highly recommend buying it or renting it or whatever you want to do. If you are a big Ninjago fan, again, it's close to 200 pages. It ain't that big of a read. It's pretty good, pretty funny, pretty action-packed, and again, it's a really good story that kind of bridges the gap, as I said, between one season, or the end of one show and the beginning of another show, and I think it is really cool. So I don't really know if this is like a Master of Spinjitzu book or a Dragon's Rising book, but it is still really cool that they're able to kind of do that in book form and actually have it work to an extent. So yeah, the Cole story is pretty good. A few things here or there, from what I remember. I haven't read it in a while. I don't remember it. There's, I guess Sally Bob, her jokes are kind of whatever, though. We don't run it, neither do I! It's just whatever. She's just a funny, quirky farmer chick. That's all she really is. So yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing too insanely bad. It's a good story that Cole, of course, deals with, trauma and his family and kind of respecting the wish that he gave his parents. And I think it's really cool. So I'm going to give the Cole story from a 0 to a 10. I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's pretty solid. And I did read Jay's story. I will review that next very soon. Don't worry, I'm not going to wait another month or two or whatever. And because it's fresh in my mind and I want to get that one recorded too. But tell me in the comments down below if you have read this book, what you think about the Cole story, and what is your favorite out of the Cole, Kai, Zane, and Jay stories so far. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.